This is the 77 WABC minicast.
You know, we cover all these news stories every day on my show. Brian Kilmeade, who's amazing. He's not good, he's great. He follows me each and every weekday morning at 10 o'clock right here on WABC, and part of that Fox and Friends crew every morning on Fox News. He's got my favorite cable show, 10 p.m. Sunday nights, One Nation. We do all these stories, but, you know, when it affects you, it really becomes a lot more personal. So where am I going? Well, I talked about this about 35 minutes ago, and that is I've got some family business to take care of in South Florida today. So me, my beautiful wife, Danielle, my daughter, Ava, and my son, Gabriel, are set to take a 2 o'clock flight this afternoon from Kennedy Airport to the beautiful Fort Lauderdale International Hollywood Airport right by the beach in South Florida. Can't wait to go. 4 days, family, the whole thing. But obviously with Sean Duffy, watching him almost every day on Fox News, at DHS issues, and all these nightmares, I'm scared to death that if I get to the airport at 11 o'clock for a domestic flight, 2 p.m. to Fort Lauderdale, I may not make it. So, Kilmeade, I know you travel quite a bit, too. I'm about to experience today something you guys talk about almost every day on Fox News, and that is the DHS shutdown, how it's inconvenienced everyday Americans for no good reason.
It's just crazy. I mean, it's not one of these things where they have a different philosophy on funding the government. No, they already agreed to fund the government. They actually did the appropriations bills properly. The Democrats walked out. It's hard to remember, about 2 months ago, and said, Republicans kind of listened to us. We got a lot in this. I said, okay, great. And I didn't drill down on each of the 12 committees what came out of it, but then they got together. I go, I can't believe it. They actually did something late, but on regular order after the 45-day shutdown. And then we had the series of controversial events in Minneapolis and no help from the sanctuary city. And we know about Kristi Noem gets replaced and Tom Homan gets in there. And they go, no, we're not going to fund ICE. Wait a second. It's funded to 2029. We're not going to fund DHS, a partial shut. What are you talking about? We're going to shut it down. You're going to shut it down. And they did. And it continues. And TSA, we have 345 TSA agents who've walked off the job. I could not believe this. Do you know they start at $40,000? You take out taxes. They're probably coming home with $29,000. You know, you commute back and forth. You're basically paycheck to paycheck. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. You got great benefits. It's the beginning of a career. But when you tell someone, oh, you're not getting that paycheck, they have to go do a side job. They got to go to construction. They got to do something they can get a day rate, some cash. They got to go do Uber Eats. So anybody who goes to the airport, I don't care if you have Clear, I don't care if you have TSA, everybody's delayed. I mean, I got some numbers here that, you know, New York wasn't bad yesterday. I got somebody who told me they floated right through, so that gives me hope for you. But, I mean, some of the numbers on these airports are ridiculous. 3 hours and 45 minutes over in Atlanta, which is absolutely insane. And then you got some other airports are saying, Sid, they might even shut down.
I know. I saw that. That's crazy. I mean, look. This is common sense stuff. The government is not working for us. Now, I blame the Democrats, and so do you, and we blame them because we know what we're talking about. And not just at DHS, but listening to your good friend John Thune yesterday say, hey, we'll debate this in the Senate next week. Listening to Chuck Schumer, I played a 3-minute clip of Chuck Schumer about 20 years ago talking about the importance of identification in the United States. He said it, okay? He said it. Now, all of a sudden, nah. Come on, black people are stupid. They're felons. You can't expect black people to have ID. I mean, where they're coming from is so racist and so disgusting on a very, very common sense issue. Why are we even arguing about the Save America Act?
Well, a couple of things. I think this is typical. You know, it's 70, 80%. Democrats and Republicans want it. But I think, you know, there's some things to talk about. I'm not against mail-in voting if done right. For example, you know, some of these rural communities in Alaska and, you know, in Mississippi, sometimes you got to go 400 miles to vote. Sid, I don't think we should be doing that. But maybe there should be criteria for mail-in voting. In order to be eligible, maybe you just got to fill out a form. I mean, the other day, I got a form to renew my license. And in it, I don't have to go to a motor vehicle, but I had to go do an eye test. So I had to go find an urgent care and do an eye test. Okay. I had to find, or I'd have to go to an optometrist and do an eye test. I had to go out of my way, but I want to renew my license. Everyone in life sometimes has to go out of their way to fill the criteria. You got to get the enhanced license in order to get there. You want to get clear. You want to go do that. You want TSA. You got to go find a building and find it out. You lost your birth certificate. You fill out a form. In today's, you don't have to go to Social Security office. You could go online things. But I think that there's some negotiation there. What I don't like about the Save America Act is they put all the other stuff in. Of course I don't want trans men and women's sports, but don't put it in the Save America Act. Just do voter ID, make it clean. And then and it turns out you could get a major piece of legislation passed and put all the pressure on the Democrats. You're going against what 75% of the Democrats want. Minorities want it as much as the wealthy. They don't want their vote canceled out. So I think Republicans could go, deal with this on some level. But I think they jammed so much stuff into it. Then I talked to the Thune camp yesterday, and they said as soon as Trump came out and said it was a priority of his, immediately the Democrats backed off it. But at least it would have put pressure on them just to sign off on it. So to me, you can negotiate this. Today, I think Tom Suozzi of Long Island and Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania have a way to, they have a compromise bill on getting DHS funded. We'll see if that jars things. But, New York is so far okay. In Washington, 2 to 3 hours. Atlanta, now they say officially is 3. Philadelphia, 2.5 hours. You believe this?
Jeez, that's crazy. It is crazy. Brian Kilmeade coming up next at 10 o'clock. Box and Friends and One Nation, a couple more. We'll let you run here on this Thursday morning, Brian. So I got all these dear friends, ladies, Siggy Flicker down in Boca Raton, Stella Escobedo out in Los Angeles. So kind of this one big group. Siggy and I were actually appointed together to the Holocaust Memorial Council. Trump loves her, too. He calls her Ziggy. Loves us both. And, they're always yelling and screaming about Qatar. They don't get it. Just like Mark Levin always yells and screams about Qatar. Doesn't yell and scream about Qatar? Tucker Carlson, because there's a large group of people who think he's getting paid. So when Israel bombs this Iranian oil field yesterday, it drew the ire of President Trump because Iran responded with, well, that's okay. We'll blow up Qatar. And President Trump says, you do that, we're going to level you guys. And people in this country are still trying to figure out, even the biggest Trump supporters, people like you and I, they're still trying to figure out this love affair between Trump and Qatar when you consider that a lot of these terrorists actually are holed up there in Qatar. Can you explain why this love affair between Trump and Qatar exists?
Well, I can't explain it wholly, but the thing is they are of two minds. We know, for example, that Netanyahu was not upset that the Hamas had headquarters in Qatar because they needed somebody to deal with. They knew they couldn't get Hamas out of there prior to the Gaza attack on the 7th. So they had someone to deal with. But Qatar also is somebody that brokers a lot of the Abraham Accords, was able to bridge some communications. But here's the other thing about Qatar. They are doing flat out investments here and we're doing investments there. So they looked at him and says, with all your problems in the discordant way of governing, you're looking to build your economy. Just UAE is looking to build your economy. Saudi Arabia is looking to build your economy. Let's do business. So Trump always prefers less scrutiny on your government, more scrutiny on can we do business. What I think is going to happen, Sid, and Iran's going to help us, is it made it so clear that Iran's the enemy. They felt we have no army. I have to live in a difficult neighborhood. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt here between Israel, Syria, and Iran. I'm going to be friends with everybody. Well, Iran's making it clear the friendship that we had is worthless. You're bombing us directly. We told you we were staying out of it. And you're bombing. First, you said you're going to bomb American resources there. Now you're bombing everything, our gas fields. So I think Iran is helping clear the decks for anyone who thought that we were the bad guys, that we were the disruptive ones, or they should side with Iran over Saudi Arabia. Those days are done. I'm so proud of the Gulf states. They have not. I'm looking at everything. Arab News, Al Jazeera English, just to see if they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. Nobody has condemned the U.S. actions. In fact, the word from Saudi Arabia is cripple them.
Wow.
And they've been attacked. So, I mean, look, I don't love the way Saudi Arabia's government's set up, but I like it a lot better now than 15 years ago. The UAE, I like it better now than 10 years ago. So things are moving incrementally in the right way. And I think we're just our enemies are showing, our enemy is showing who they are. So let's see. Qatar's going to say, look, there's no reason. Hopefully, this new Iran regime, when they finally are ousted, will be like Syria. Keep an eye on them, but I like the change. I hope that that's the situation there, and Qatar begins to realize you don't have to play both ends. There's good guys and bad guys.